A billionaire father thought betrayal had destroyed his home, until a single envelope exposed a truth buried for years. A hidden love, a silent sacrifice, and a daughter he never knew existed were all waiting in the shadows of his success. But when the past finally walks back into his life, everything he believed shatters in seconds. What really happened all those years ago, and who was truly behind his rise? Before we dive into this incredible story, don't forget to subscribe and hit the bell icon so you never miss our powerful, life-changing content. I am a single father who once slept in a broken room, chasing a dream that felt too heavy to carry. Rain leaked through the roof onto my daughter's school books while I worked nights with empty pockets and tired hands. One night she looked at me with shaking eyes. "I saw you bring a girl home last night." That girl was not betrayal. She was the only woman who stood beside me when I was nothing but debt and dust. She taught me discipline when I wanted to quit, and kindness when the world turned cruel. Years passed. My startup grew into a billion-dollar company, but success never erased the misunderstanding in my home. My daughter stayed silent, and it hurt more than failure ever did. I held her close and said, every step I took was for us. But tonight, she brought an envelope I never expected to see, and my hand started shaking as I opened it. I opened the envelope with trembling hands. Inside was a photograph of the woman I once loved, standing outside my office, tears in her eyes. My daughter whispered, "She came to meet me first." My heart froze. The letter explained everything. She had quietly helped my daughter through school fees, hospital bills, and nights I was away building the company. She never asked for credit. She only asked one thing, that I never give up on us. I remembered every moment I thought she had left me. I was wrong. My daughter looked at me, voice breaking. "She saved us when you were not there." I felt the weight of success collapse into shame and gratitude at once. I ran outside, searching for her name in the cold night air, my empire behind me, but my life finally ahead. I stopped at the empty street, remembering her sacrifice, realizing every success was built on her silent strength, and I whispered her name into the wind, "Forever now." I stood in the cold night, my breath heavy, searching the empty street as if it could answer me. The city lights blurred through my eyes. A security guard approached quietly and said, "Sir, she left something for you." He handed me a small card with an address I had never seen. My hands shook as I read it. It was not an office. Not a home. It was the old shelter where I once slept when I had nothing. I drove there without thinking, heart pounding louder than the engine. Inside, the air smelled of dust and memory. On the table lay another letter, and a folder marked with my company name. Her handwriting said, "If you are reading this, then you have finally understood what I could never explain." I opened the folder slowly, and my world collapsed as I saw the truth about who truly owned everything I had built. I opened the folder slowly, my fingers cold. Inside was a legal document confirming full ownership of my company. Her signature was everywhere. I felt the floor disappear beneath me. For a moment I believed everything I built was never mine. Then I read the final page. It was not a takeover. It was protection. When investors tried to crush me during my weakest year, she secretly restructured everything under a trust for my daughter's future. Every decision she made was to save what I could not. A final note said, "I never wanted your empire. I wanted your peace." My eyes burned as I realized I had judged her love as betrayal. A faint sound came from behind the shelter door. Someone was still inside, waiting. I stepped forward, my hand on the rusted handle. Heart racing. Knowing the truth was not finished yet. And every answer I wanted was on the other side of that door, where her silence had been living all these years. My hand pressed against the rusted door, feeling its cold resistance. For a moment, I could not move. I heard a soft cough from inside. My throat tightened. "Who is there?" I asked, voice breaking. No answer came, only the sound of paper shifting. I pushed the door open slowly. Inside, a dim light revealed a small room filled with old files, photographs, and memories of my early struggles. And there she was. sitting on a wooden chair, weaker than I remembered, holding a file close to her chest as if it was her heartbeat. She looked at me and smiled faintly. "You were never meant to find me like this," she said. I stepped forward, tears falling without control. "Why did you do all this?" She lowered her eyes. "Because someone had to believe in you, even when you stopped believing in yourself." My knees weakened as I reached her, but before I could speak again, she slowly placed the final sealed letter into my hands, and whispered, "There is still one truth you have not read." My hands trembled as I took the sealed letter from her fragile fingers. The room felt smaller, as if the walls were listening to every breath we took. She watched me silently, her eyes carrying years of unspoken sacrifice. I broke the seal slowly, afraid of what truth could still remain hidden after everything I had discovered. Inside was a single page, folded with care, and a photograph I had never seen before. In the picture, she was standing beside a man I did not recognize, and holding a newborn child. My heart stopped. I looked at her, searching for an answer before I even finished reading. Her voice was barely a whisper, breaking under emotion. "That child," she said, pausing as if the weight of the world rested on her next words. I could feel my reality splitting apart again, every truth I trusted now hanging by a thread, and the silence between us grew deeper as the final revelation hovered in the air. I could not breathe. My past, my empire, everything I believed in felt distant. She reached out slightly, then stopped, as if even touch could break what remained between us. The photograph shook in my hand, and I waited for her to finish the sentence that would change everything again. I waited for her to finish the sentence, my breath stuck in my chest. Her eyes filled with tears, but her voice stayed steady. "That child is your daughter." The world went silent. I stepped back, shaking, unable to process the words. "No, that is not possible," I whispered. She lowered her head. "Years ago, when you were drowning in debt and fighting to survive, I was already pregnant." My knees weakened. I grabbed the edge of the table to stay standing. She continued softly, "I left because I thought you needed freedom to build your life. I raised her in silence, far from your struggle, but I never stopped watching you." My vision blurred as I looked again at the photograph. The child's eyes, they were mine. 1,000 memories collapsed inside me at once. Every night I worked late. Every sacrifice. Every victory. And I never knew she existed. I turned toward her, voice breaking. "Why did you hide this from me for so long?" She tried to speak, but stopped as footsteps echoed outside the shelter door, getting closer and closer. The footsteps stopped at the doorway. The door slowly opened. My daughter stood there, holding an old photo in her hands, her eyes full of tears. "I followed you," she whispered. "I needed to know the truth." Silence filled the room. I looked at her, then at the woman who had carried our hidden past for years. For the first time, I understood everything without words. I stepped forward and held my daughter close. My voice broke as I said, "I was building a future, but I lost the present I should have protected." I turned to the woman who loved in silence. "You carried my life when I was not strong enough to carry it myself." She smiled faintly, tears falling. "Love is not ownership. It is sacrifice." That night, we did not speak of empire or wealth. We spoke of lost years, forgiveness, and beginning again. I chose family over pride. Truth over ego. Love over silence. And I finally understood, success means nothing if it is not shared with those who made your journey possible.